Hello guys, what is going on? My name is Sam, or Chaotic, and welcome back to another GTA 5 video here on my channel. Now, as you guys can see from the title of this video, this is a buyer's beware. In this video, I'm going to be warning you guys about one or two items and vehicles now available in GTA Online as of yesterday with the release of the Doomsday Heist update. It is by far my favorite update in the game, and it's also the biggest as well we've ever received in the terms of content available on day one. There are 16 new vehicles for starters, with more to come over the next few weeks and months. In fact, there's a total of over 30 new vehicles in this update alone, and that's on top of the new heists, the new properties, and all the other items you can now get in this update. And just to afford all the content from day one, it will cost you over $50 million, and that's to buy everything, fully upgraded, and so on. Now yes, $50 million is a lot of money. It will literally take you days upon days to make that from grinding missions or running your businesses. But honestly, I'm kind of surprised this update isn't more expensive. For example, to buy all 16 of the new vehicles straight away at their buy it now prices will cost you $31 million. And if you unlock their trade prices, it's just $21 million. Which yes, again, is still a lot of money, but in comparison to past updates, you certainly get a lot more for the same amount of money, and in some cases, some of the vehicles from this update are better value for money as well. So the Doomsday Heist update is a good all-round update, but as always, like with any updates, there are one or two items and vehicles which aren't so good and aren't really worth buying, which is why in this video, I'm going to be advising you guys to avoid these and save your money on them. Just because they're new, you shouldn't go spending all your money straight away on these, and like I said, there are still plenty of vehicles yet to come over the next few weeks and months to look forward to as well. So let's get straight into things then, and start things off with the new plane. So this new aircraft has been named the Volatile. It is the only new plane available in the Doomsday Heist update. You can purchase this from the Warsaw Cash and Carry website. Its buy it now price is just over $3.7 million, and it has a trade price of $2.5 million. And if we compare this price to some of the aircrafts from our last update, the Smuggler's Run update, this may appear cheap or at least reasonable. And that's because many of the aircrafts in Smuggler's Run were not just expensive, but considered overpriced. And if the Volatile was released in Smuggler's Run, it would probably cost a few $1,000,000 more than what the price is now. But just because it's less expensive than what it would have been in the last update, it doesn't make this a good buy. In fact, it is a complete waste of money in my opinion, because in no way, shape or form is this plane that special or unique. It may be a cool looking plane and one of the biggest ones that you can buy and fly around in free mode online, but its size also comes with a few disadvantages. For starters, it is not very fast, it's a lot slower than you might expect this to be. And although in the gameplay it doesn't look too bad, bear in mind I have fully upgraded this and I'm flying fairly low to the ground as well, and upgrading it does improve the speed massively. From standard, it is a very slow aircraft. In fact, it would probably take you a few minutes to fly from one side of the map to the other. But even if you intend to upgrade this, I still wouldn't recommend buying this plane. Because it's big and slow, you're just a huge target in the sky for people to aim at and shoot at with a homing launcher. And this thing isn't that armoured, just a few shots and you'll be shot out the sky. And not only is this plane really slow from standard, despite being a bomber, the bombing feature isn't even available on it. That's something you have to buy and upgrade in your hangar. It does come with some weapons from standard. It comes with a machine gun turret on the top and the bottom of the aircraft, but you can't use either of these as a pilot. You have to have two passengers in the plane to operate each one of those. And then of course, because of its size, there's the issue of landing this. There aren't many locations around the map which are big enough and wide enough for this to land on. It's not all that great either when it comes to slowing down and braking, so you certainly need a long stretch of area to land this, and this thing is easily destroyed, so if you hit anything, it will blow up straight away. And certainly in the terms of its usefulness, the Volatile isn't up there. So unless you really love planes and you love flying around in GTA Online, and this plane is definitely for you, and you'll find yourself flying about often, then it's not something I would recommend buying. Like most vehicles we get in updates, although they seem cool and you might use it once or twice, it's one of those things you'll probably leave in your hangar and never use again after a couple of days. Let's move on though to the second vehicle from this update I'd also recommend avoiding, this being the Chernabog. Hopefully I pronounced that right, it's kind of a weird name. Now, as cool as this vehicle may be, personally I think this vehicle looks extremely awesome and I was very excited to see this coming to the game. Unfortunately, there are one or two things about this vehicle which really let it down. Now I'm sure in free mode, if you have a few friends to sort of do some stuff with, it could be a very fun vehicle to use. But unless you have friends, then this vehicle will not be that useful at all. For starters, you cannot use the missiles as the driver. In fact, you have to have a second person to operate the missile launcher for you, and you can't be moving to operate the missile launcher on the back either. You have to be stationary and you have to enable it, which stops you from moving entirely. Which, yes, I understand makes this a realistic feature. If you want to use this vehicle in real life and fire missiles, the vehicle has to be stationary and you have to put the legs down just like the vehicle in the game is, but unfortunately it doesn't make this a useful feature. In fact, it puts this vehicle at a disadvantage over other missile firing vehicles like the APC. Now in fairness, the missiles this vehicle fires are decent, but it can only fire 5 at a time. The vehicle is pretty good when it comes to ramming vehicles out the way as well. As you can see, with very little effort, it can just plow into vehicles and ram them out of the way, and more often than not, it also makes the vehicle explode as well, which is pretty impressive. But this vehicle is not that armored. After a few vehicles and explosions, this will also set on fire and explode. But the main issue with this vehicle is the fact that it's so big and the steering on this isn't great either. In fact, at low speeds, both the front and the rear wheels will turn to make its turning circle a little better, but that only applies at slow speeds. When traveling at over 10 miles an hour, it's only the front wheel which actually turns, and as a result, it has a huge turning circle. And on the road, it's pretty difficult to control as well, so unless you're in areas like Sandy Shores where it's pretty big and wide open, certainly in the city and on some of the smaller windy roads, it is pretty difficult to control at all. I do want to make it very clear though, I do like the Chernabog. I think it is a very cool vehicle, and about time the Rockstar gave us something like this in the game. But unfortunately, there are just those one or two things which let this vehicle down. So unless you guys have endless amounts of money in-game, then maybe this is a vehicle you guys shouldn't buy straight away. So put it down towards the bottom of your priority list. And this also will probably be one of those vehicles which you may buy and use once or twice and then never use again. And at a price of just over $3.3 million for the buy it now and $2.4 million for the trade price, that is a lot of money to spend on something which you may only use once or twice. Let's move on though to the third item in this video, this being more of a feature than a vehicle, but definitely one I would recommend avoid buying entirely, this being the Orbital Cannon. Now, as cool as this may sound and seem, unfortunately this is a complete waste of money and there are so many downsides to this. Now you can buy one of these when you go ahead and buy the new property, one of these new facilities, and as you can see when you go and buy the Orbital Cannon, the room itself will cost you $900,000. And for that, you don't even get yourself the Orbital Cannon, you're literally just buying the room. You then have to pay to use this thing, and it's not cheap either. As you can see, just to use the manual strike, it will cost you $500,000 each time you want to use it. The automatic use is then $750,000, and again, that's for just one use. I think we can all agree that is an extortionate amount of money. You have to pay $900,000 for the room, and then you have to pay for each use of this. And to show you guys an example of what this is like, I paid $500,000 just for this video to show you guys what a manual targeted strike is like against just a random NPC driving along. And straight away what you'll find is you'll have to find something which isn't moving that quickly or is completely stationary. Otherwise there is a good chance you'll miss. Now, as you guys can see in the gameplay, I didn't shoot directly at the target, but I was still able to blow up the car, and that's because there is sort of a radius on this of around about 10 meters, but anything outside that will probably survive, and that's why if the person you're trying to take out is moving fairly quickly, just driving a car at a regular speed, there's a good chance you'll miss that. And for the amount of money you pay just to use it once, there is a big risk involved. So unless you really hate the person you're trying to take out, it is not worth spending any money on the strike or the room itself. You can save yourself a lot of money, just go and buy a weaponized vehicle or some decent weapons and take them out yourself. And it's also worth bearing in mind, once you've used the strike once, you then have to wait a whole 48 minutes, that's an entire GTA day before you can use it again. But let's move on then to the final item in this video. This isn't necessarily a do not buy this vehicle, but more of a bear this in mind. So this of course being the Avenger, the new mobile operation center of the sky. But did you guys know you don't actually have to purchase the new Avenger if you want to customize the new weaponized and special vehicles from this update? you can just use your mobile operation center if you have one. So if you haven't got a huge amount of money, don't go wasting it buying an Avenger just to customize the new vehicles. You can use your mobile operation center instead, which could potentially save you up to $5 million. A fully customized version of this will cost you around about $4.8 million in total. So if you don't have huge amounts of money in game, then don't go buying the Avenger. You don't necessarily need it. But if you guys do have plenty of money in game, then definitely get it. The Avenger is an awesome vehicle. There are a few things to bear in mind. For starters, there is an autopilot mode, so you can leave it in hover mode and go into the back. You can operate the turrets, customize vehicles, customize your weapons and stuff like that. Plus, up to 30 people, an entire lobby of people, can go in the back of the Avenger as well. And don't forget, you can also fit the bombing feature to the aircraft as well when you're customizing it. So yes, in fairness, the Avenger is a good aircraft, but like I said, you don't necessarily need it when it comes to customizing. So do bear that in mind, just in case you go spending your money on one of these thinking you need it if you want to customize the new special and weaponized vehicles from this update. Because you don't, you can just use your mobile operations center. So there we go then, guys. With that being said, that's it then for this video. Those are 4 things then in GTA Online I would recommend avoid buying. If you guys have any other suggestions or comments to make, of course let me know right now by leaving a comment on this video. If you guys could drop a like, it would of course be greatly appreciated and it helps me out a lot. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, make sure you do, because I upload all the latest and the greatest Grand Theft Auto 5 content. So as always, guys, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.